For this check for understanding, you're going to describe talk, the watchdog, and summarize events. And you're going to add this to the story map that you just started. Remember, it's important that you complete the story map in your journals and use the directions on handout 7A to help you complete your story map for this episode. So add talk to the character box on your story map that you already began. Describe him and explain the wordplay of his name. Summarize one more event in the action problem box as well as the episode's outcome in the ending box. Refer to pages 28 to 31 as needed. And I'll meet you back here once you've finished. So far, The Phantom Toll Booth has been very fun to read, and the characters are interesting and a bit weird, but I suspect we have more to this story than just the strange characters. In order to get to a story's deeper meaning, it's important for us to ask, what is this story really about? The answers to this question often reside within the main characters in the stories. Paying attention to what the main characters learn and how they change can help you discover a story's deeper meaning or themes. A story's larger themes may not become evident until later in the story, but good readers can look for clues along the way. So, as you're reading The Phantom Toll Booth, you need to keep your eyes out, that's an idiom, for little nuggets of wisdom that Milo learns from all the different characters and episodes in this journey through the Kingdom of Wisdom and in the lands beyond. Don't worry, I'll be here to give you a hint or two about where to look. Let's start this work now. First, I want you to silently reread page 31 and look for clues about what Milo learns from his experience with the Lethargarians and talk in the doldrums. Look down here at the Nuggets of Wisdom box at the bottom of handout 7A. This is where you're going to record Milo's Nuggets of Wisdom. In other words, what he learns from his experience and what knowledge or understanding that he gains, and how his thinking changes from the beginning of the story. Pause the video now to complete this. As I was thinking about the nuggets of wisdom that Milo gains in this episode, this passage on page 31 really stood out to me. Have some fun reading it aloud with me. Ready? Milo began to think as hard as he could, which was very difficult since he wasn't used to it. He thought of birds that swim and fish that fly. He thought of yesterday's lunch and tomorrow's dinner. He thought of words that began with J and numbers that end in 3. And as he thought, the wheels began to turn. So, not thinking and paying attention landed Milo in the doldrums in the first place, where he could have wasted a whole lot of time. And thankfully, Talk, the watchdog, whose body is an actual watch or timepiece and whose job it is to make sure no one wastes time, comes right along and gives him some important advice. If he starts thinking, he will escape the doldrums. So, what larger point or message might the book be making about thinking? What makes you think so? Pause and think about that now. Some of my ideas around this were that the best way to escape the doldrums and solve many other problems is to start thinking. When Milo started thinking, remember, his car started working and he was able to leave the doldrums. He also noticed that thinking made the world brighter and more interesting, because when Milo started thinking, the land grew colorful again and bright. Interesting, huh? Whew, it's time for a stretch break. Take a break and meet me back here when you're ready to start up again. You have been exploring how Norton Juster uses description to develop settings and characters whose names involve wordplay, and he does it in several interesting ways. You'll build your understanding of narrative writing by learning about a special technique called a snapshot. And we'll examine why snapshots are important in stories and especially in the Phantom Toll Booth. Snapshot. That's a funny word. I think it started when cameras became smaller and really easy to carry. They used to be heavy and had to stay in one place. People started being able to take quick little pictures of things instead of posing for portraits. And you could say, I'll take a shot of this or snap a picture of that. And those are both idioms, by the way. And pretty soon, a snapshot became a picture that was taken quickly that captures a detailed image, but just a moment in time. Well, writers can do something very similar, but of course, they do it with words. Play along with me, and I'll show you. All right, close your eyes, and I'm going to read a few lines from page 29, and I want you to try to visualize in your heads exactly what you see as I read. Ready? Don't peek. Close your eyes. There in front of him was a large dog with a perfectly normal head, 4 feet, and a tail, and the body of a loudly ticking alarm clock. You can open your eyes. What details in this description helped you visualize Talk or create a picture of him in your mind? The description of Talk that you just experienced is one example of a snapshot. Just as a photographer might take a snapshot of a person, place, or object in a written snapshot, a writer zooms in on a character or a setting or an object, also uses details and description to give readers a vivid image of what they're writing about, and uses sensory language or details from our 5 senses to help the readers visualize their subject. So what is sensory language? Here's a definition of sensory language, which is important because you're going to be practicing this. Sensory language is a noun, and it is the use of details that appeal to a reader's senses, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, or feel, to add color and depth to writing and help readers visualize what an author's writing is about. Look again at the bottom of page 29. There in front of him was a large dog with a perfectly normal head, 4 feet, and a tail, and the body of a loudly ticking alarm clock. Think for a moment. Why do you think these lines that I just read might be considered a snapshot? The lines include really vivid details about what Talk looks like so that the readers can actually see him as Milo does. What words did the author choose to create a vivid picture of Talk in this scene? Pause the video and jot down a few of these words. Did you jot down details like a large dog with a perfectly normal head, 4 feet and a tail, and the body of a loudly ticking alarm clock? Here's some food for thought. Oh, that's an idiom that means here's something to think about. Why do you think that the author pauses the action and gives readers a snapshot of Talk at this very point in the story? The Phantom Toll Booth is filled with examples of snapshots, especially snapshots of Juster's settings and the characters. Together with your classroom teacher, you're going to examine snapshots of other characters that you've met so far in the story. I really appreciate the attention that you're paying to Milo and to what he might be learning as he's on his journey in the lands beyond. Speaking of appreciation, I do recommend that you take a look at what Maurice Sendak wrote in the beginning of the book. We could write an appreciation for someone. Who would you write about? What would you say? Think about it and write an appreciation for someone. See you next time.
To open up this document, that is a snapshot organizer. And I want you to use the book, just what you've seen in chapter 2. And I want you to choose one character or place. I would like you to choose, actually, I want you to choose one of two characters. You can either choose the weatherman or the lethargians. Okay? So please choose just one of these people and put them right here. I want you to talk about then what would they see, hear, smell, feel, maybe even taste or smells while they are in this chapter, because we've got a lot of colorful imagery and they have described a lot of things that they're going to see. You can maybe put in what you think they might hear in this place. It might even be the other people. Maybe what you think it would smell like, because where the weathermen and the lethargians are, they're very different. What might they feel underneath them? And then if they ate something, what would they taste? So we're thinking of some visualization and a snapshot of these characters. When you're done, please turn this in. You do not have to write a lot, but I want you to think about some of these snapshots and visualizations that people